Only one round into 2023, and already this is shaping up to be a most unpredictable points chase. Those who bet on Bad Habit may have been caught off guard by the rise of a bright red freight train from the Empire State. Those who have followed this family of frequent flyers are far from shocked. The championship is on the line as round 2 of the Monster Mashers Championship Series comes your way next. From the Hernando County Fairgrounds in Brooksville, Florida, the All-Star Monster Truck Tour brings you round 2 of the 2023 Monster Mashers Championship Series. And if you followed the action from last time, you'll know that Triton Robbins in the Crazy Train has jumped into the early season points lead after winning Best Trick and Racing yesterday afternoon. He comes in with a lot of momentum behind him, but those who have followed his career over the last few years are probably not surprised to see that. He's a proficient driver, he's an incredible racer, and it's served notice that he will not be beaten easily in freestyle. He has the skills, he has the know-how, he can build his own engines, build his own parts, work on the trucks, but he's not afraid to be spectacular. We have seen him run these trucks so hard as to blow up engine parts. He's not afraid to do that either, but he's being followed closely right now by the biggest spoiler on the tour. That's Joe Sylvester in Bad Habit. And a lot of people thought Joe was going to jump right to the head of the class, though he's not far behind. Take nothing away from him. A few people thought he actually should have won that freestyle yesterday. That honor went to Corey Snyder in Toxic 2.0. Corey is going to be a major thorn in the side of the top runners on this series. In fact, Corey has a shot, mathematically speaking, at the #1 spot, depending on how he finishes here and his 2 weeks in Tennessee that he'll run at the end of this series. Because remember, as we go through this points chase, we will see some other trucks coming on. The only 3 vehicles that will be a constant this year are the Robbins brothers in Crazy Train and Playing Crazy, and Elliott Miller in Sinistar. When you talk about Elliott Miller in Sinistar, there is a guy who had to put something together for today's event as he suffered some damage after yesterday's show during racing when he came down hard and bent the tabs that hold the sway bar adjusters on the housing on the front of the truck. Another guy who has had to do some changes is Montana Robbins, who will be leaving the series, at least in terms of the driver's seat, after this event to go back to school. He has not yet graduated. The 16-year-old Buddy Tompkins will be taking the wheel of that truck at our next stop in Naples, Florida. But right now, Montana is looking to better the performance he laid down yesterday afternoon. He did not have a locker in the front end. Today he does, and he thinks it's going to give him an advantage here on this track. We'll have to wait and see where the advantage takes over, and we'll see where Montana finishes at the end of today's event. We're about to get things underway. The fans are ready for the action. Stay with us. Round 2 of the All-Star Monster Truck Tour Monster Mashers Championship Series kicks off when we come back to Brooksville.
There's only one place in the world you can find this much old school cool. Freedom Racing Monster Trucks. The home of Cyclops and Unnamed and Untamed. Get yourself a limited edition toy at freedomracingmt.com.
This Back Channel Productions program is brought to you in part by RPM Army, the place to get your motorsports fix.
Welcome back to Brooksville, Florida, as we get ready to kick off round 2 of the 2023 Monster Mashers Championship Series. We're going to take a look at the points coming into today's action. And as I said, Crazy Train is leading the pack, a 7-point lead over Bad Habit, who only has 1 point up on the man behind him, Corey Snyder, in Toxic 2.0. Plain Crazy and Sinistar bringing up 4th and 5th, but both of those trucks have been reset since yesterday. Plain Crazy now running a locker in the front, and Montana Robbins thinks he might have something for his brother. We'll see what Elliott Miller has, as he did some work resetting his shocks from yesterday. He and his crew chief Farmer definitely believe the truck is ready to go today. We'll see what he does. Doesn't think he's going to be much of a contender in racing, but he could have something for these guys in best trick and freestyle. And I mentioned Montana Robbins during that rundown of the points. Well, there he is, the Empire Flyer, the bright blue Silverado out of Watkins, New York. Plain Crazy, the younger brother of Trike Robbins. Let's see what Montana has to open things up. Definitely working better today and twisted on him. He's going to get things shut down before he got into the fence here, and he was in a precarious situation there for just a moment as he came close to the boundary markers of this track, but no harm, no foul. Let's see what he has for hit number 2. He's already starting off on a better note than he did yesterday. What does he have here? That's how you do it. Gets the popper into a wheelie and flies up and over the stoppie ramp here in Brooksville. Definitely turning things up for best trick competition number 2, and he is going to start on a high note. We'll wait to see what the points end up being. Remember, a perfect score is a 10. Here's another look at that popper. He stood it up perfectly. Got back in the throttle, and look at him fly over the ramp there. The FTI-sponsored Chevrolet out of Western New York doing an awesome job in front of the crowd here today. Very happy driver, and look at that. He left 1 point at the top for 4 monster trucks to go after. He is starting things off on a high note. As I said, here comes now Elliott Miller out of Ionia, Michigan in Sinistar. Probably the loudest truck on the premises here. He's got a brand new engine combination, and this thing is not quite comfortable with it just yet, but we'll see what he's got. Went for a slap wheelie and tried to let the truck settle out to get the rear end of it. See what he's got here. I don't know if they're going to count the donut he just did, or if they're going to count this. We'll find out. Medium lift slap wheelie there. Nicely done. Definitely displaying the horsepower that this truck has. This was a former Brian Bartle chassis. It's built to do wheelies, and it can do them. We saw that yesterday, but not getting what he wanted out of it today. And just as I say that, he gets a nice stoppie out of it right there. Didn't get the moonwalk. He runs an open front end. That's why it twisted around on him. Not sure why Montana Robbins' truck twisted on him. We'll have to wait and see if he's got a problem, but he does have the locker in the front end. A score of 5, comes up 4 points short, and I could not tell you which of those 4 moves they actually counted toward the best trick score, but nicely done, giving the fans something to hold them over until our next truck comes out. There you see Miller standing it up. Nicely done. I guarantee you he'll have more for these fans when he comes back for freestyle. Right now, Corey Snyder out of Frederick, Maryland in Toxic 2.0, your freestyle winner from yesterday afternoon, coming to the stage. Plenty of horsepower, that big 557 cubic inch Chevy big block in the back of that truck. Former metal shop engine in there, and matched Miller's slap wheelie, I'll say that. But again, I don't know which moves they counted the Millers. Let's see what Snyder has here for hit 2. Again, going after a 9. Laid down by Montana Robbins. woods. See him go all the way down to the end and kind of whip it around. He's trying to feel the dirt out in those turns for when he comes back for a race and give him some idea of how loose or tacky this track really is. This is a good consistency dirt, a score of 5, so he will match Sinistar in points right now as we get another look at the first move he made. A nice slap, Willie. Again, I don't think what he wanted right there. He can normally stand that thing straight up and down, but dirt might be a little dry and loose right now as we look at that second and a nice big leap out into center track. And that's one of the coolest things about this facility is that little extra piece of real estate outside the arena proper. There's your leader right now in the best trick competition, Montana Robbins, waiting to watch his brother take his shot. If anybody could knock down the man on top right now, it's the Chattanooga Choo-Choo, another Western New York-based machine. Eddie Micah chassis underneath and engine parts out of the Mike Janis Jansen Motorsports shop in Erie County, New York. It's where Triton works. He builds his own engines out of that shop, so we'll see what he's got here. Nicely done. Had to back out of it, though, as the truck started to head to the left. Did not want to get into the fence over there, as he'll bring it around his second move here in the best trick competition, and I guarantee he goes for some two-wheel action. Walking it out to center track. Masterfully performed as Triton Robbins. Answering the call, his brother laid down. There you see Buddy Tompkins will get Triton backed into his spot in the pit area. Keep in mind, Buddy will take over driving Montana's truck after this event, at least for a few events, while Montana finishes up high school. So we'll see Montana back at the wheel before the end of this series. Right now, though, hanging on to that top spot, score of 7 for Crazy Train. Not enough to knock off Triton Robbins. I'll tell you, nobody's going to be more proud of Montana than Triton right now, as he's got his mother and father here watching, and a bunch of family members from right down here in Florida, as they do have some property down here in the Sunshine State. So does this guy, though. He's got family that we'll be seeing down in Naples next weekend. Joe Sylvester out of Boardman, Ohio, in bad habit. Guy looking for a win on this tour. He thought he may have won that freestyle, and some other people did as well. Let's see what he's got here. Big leap out the center track. Beautifully performed moonwalk right there. He made that look almost too easy. Consummate showman. Some might call it ego. It's a little bit of both, but Joe Sylvester giving the fans a little extra at the end of that run. Hear the roar through the trees of that big Steve Vance horsepower. Going to score an 8, 1 point short, and that was a well-earned score. He was definitely right there behind Montana. Gave up the first move a little bit. That big air move did hurt him, as he did perform one of the best moonwalks we have seen so far in 2 best trick competitions here on the All-Star Monster Truck Tour for 2023. Sylvester coming in second on that one as he tries to protect his place on the board right now and hopefully move up on Triton Robbins before the end of the day. Here you can see he's only 6 points off of him right now. He gained a point in that competition, and that will serve him well before the end of the day. We'll see if we can keep that Ford momentum up. Toxic 2.0, Plain Crazy, and Sinistar remain where they were before the day started. That is just best trick as Montana Robbins whips the crowd into a frenzy. Racing is coming at you next. Stay with us. We'll be back to the state of Florida.
This Back Channel Productions program is brought to you in part by Monsters Monthly. Stay up to date with photos, videos, event info, and more at monstersmonthly.com. And by Crush This. For an inside look at the monster truck phenomenon, check out Crush This, a monster truck podcast.
Welcome back to the Hernando County Fairgrounds in Brooksville, Florida on a beautiful afternoon as we get ready for round one of monster truck racing. These guys continue to put points on the board. Not much has changed so far, as you saw before we went to the break, in terms of that points chase, but the crowd is ready as these guys continue to stack them up. Here is a look at our first round pairings. Toxic 2.0 and Bad Habit will match up right off the top. Sinistar through the seed into the semifinal round through the blind draw, and then the brothers will match up in the first round. Crazy Train and Plain Crazy going at it on the bottom of the bracket. The winner of that matchup will take on the fast loser on the bottom half of the semifinal round bracket as we get ready to bring our first two to the line. There you see Joe Sylvester in Bad Habit, one of that massive Steve Vance power plant. Steve Vance, the VZ Race Engine shop out of West Virginia, building a lot of horsepower in the mud racing industry, and he's going to go toe-to-toe with a guy with a big Chevy big block in the back of his 557 cubic inches out of Kevin Stauffer's race shop in Waynesboro, Pennsylvania. Former metal shop engine in that thing. Has had a lot of parts replaced over the years, but they finally have it fine-tuned. They've got it where they want it, and it's making a lot of horsepower so far here this weekend. We'll see who the big power contender is going to be in this first round matchup. Bad Habit and Toxic 2.0. Quick turn for Sylvester. He has the lead coming out. Snyder, a tight final turn. Falls just short. The win will go to Joe Sylvester in Bad Habit. That was a good monster truck race between those two. We'll get another look at it in just a moment, but the Jeep Gladiator will move on to take on Elliott Miller in Sinistar in our our first semifinal round matchup. Another look at this pairing as they come off the line. Watch the first turn. Sylvester quickly into that first turn and to the first jump, about a truck and a half to a 2-truck length lead, but Snyder closed that gap quite a bit on the final leg. Not quite enough to knock Sylvester off, but we'll see if Snyder can get back in the bracket by virtue of being the fast loser. We'll see, as he does have that spot right now, but if he keeps it, he'll have to take on the winner of this matchup, and it's going to be a tough contender no matter what. Anybody you draw in this field is going to be tough for you as Triton Robbins rolls out to take on his brother Montana. A pair of nearly identical trucks in terms of chassis and the power plant they run in these and the suspension setup, but a little bit different driving preference between these two guys. Tell you what, Montana has been growing leaps and bounds. It really used to be Triton that you could guarantee would win on race day. That's not so anymore. Montana's got something for him this year. We'll see if he can pull off a victory right here in round one. Good start for both. Quick turn for Montana. And he has a sizable advantage over the first jump into the final corner. Who won that one? It looked like the train may have actually gotten to the last jump first, but Montana Robbins in Plain Crazy had a lot of momentum into the final jump. We still have not been called a winner here. We'll see. Watch him again. Montana Robbins had the advantage through the first leg, and actually a very sizable advantage, but he gave up a little bit right there, and Triton made up. And they were right there together on the finish line. We watched that final launch for Triton here in just a moment. Watch it. Look at this final corner. He cuts right across the middle of the track, but he didn't cut the boundaries. Still have not been told a winner. We'll find out in just a moment when the bracket comes up. Sinistar will be taking on Bad Habit. We told you that. Who makes it into the next round? And will we get a rematch? Plain Crazy got the victory, and Toxic 2.0 kept the fast loser position, not by much. Triton Robbins, though, is going to have a lot to make up after going out in round number one. That could hurt his points advantage as Elliott Miller sits there in the pits waiting to be called out to the starting line, and they are over there right now checking on Montana Robbins' engine. He had some problems after round one yesterday. He was supposed to have advanced on into the semifinal round, but he did not do so, and Sinistar actually got a rebirth in the semifinal, so he's trying to make up some points as well as Joe Sylvester rolls to the line. He will take on Elliott Miller, who we saw sitting over there in Sinistar. Miller, I've said it before, nobody talks more trash about Miller in racing than Elliott Miller. And there'll come a day when he'll surprise himself, but we'll see what he's got for Joe Sylvester. And as I said before, a lot of orange and purple represented on the starting line in this matchup, two of the loudest trucks in the industry right now. Great start for Sylvester. Those meat hooks digging in. Little bit out of shape for that first jump. It is all Sylvester in this semifinal round matchup. Another massive launch for Elliott Miller there. He works to get it shut down. He used up every inch of shutdown space right there. You see Farm running out to get him backed up. Joe Sylvester will take it back to the pits. This will be his second semifinal round battle of the weekend. And the man he battled yesterday is now out of competition, that being Triton Robbins and Crazy Train, so we may see a change-up right here after this racing bracket. It remains to be seen as Corey Snyder gets ready to do battle with Montana Robbins. Toxic 2.0 headed to the starting line. Metal Shop chassis with a Chevy big block, and a lot of Kevin Stauffer know-how in that machine. Kevin builds a lot of engines for a lot of monster trucks. You see this guy right here, Montana Robbins, with his brother's horsepower in the back out of Mike Janis' Jansen and Motorsports Shop in Western New York. We will see which one of these next-gen drivers can come out of here with the race victory. This could be one of the most important races of this first weekend. It may not seem like it, but you are looking at third and fourth place, respectively, in points right now. Distinctive advantage, but look at Snyder fighting back. Snyder made up a ton of ground coming to the final leg, and it looked like he was watching Triton Robbins on that last run, and I think had Robbins not given up so much to his brother in round number 1, he could have come back and gotten that win because he was right there. But it will be Corey Snyder knocking Montana out of the bracket. Toxic 2.0 and Bad Habit will do battle in the championship race when we come back. Master track builder and competition director Stacy Jensen getting our machines ready to come to the line here in Brooksville, Florida, as he ran the RII test just before we came back. And we saw these guys match up in round 1. It went the way of Bad Habit. Corey Snyder would love to get some revenge on Joe Sylvester. Something to note about Sylvester coming into this final round race as they meet in the middle for a little trash talk. We're going to take a look at the bracket in just a moment, but I mentioned Joe Sylvester's tires. He was running a completely different set of tires yesterday. He blew one of them and he did not have a spare with the same tread on it. They were nearly bald, old China tires that he got from Alan Pizzo that he thought he could really scoot around on this sand. Well, he put 2 of those big meat hooks on the back. He didn't see the coverage from yesterday, and it was really pushing him around this course. He was not able to get the turns he had hoped for. Now, he's got 4 meat hooks on this thing. Not what he wanted. He can't drift around these corners like he'd like to, but he's got more traction out here than pretty much anyone, and this is a very interesting surface. It's a clay sand mixture, so it's not real tacky, but it does have bite. We'll see if Snyder's BKT setup can outmatch the meat hooks, or if Joe Sylvester going to 4 identical tires here this Sunday afternoon, the final race here in Brooksville. Let's see, who's it gonna be in the finals? Great start for both trucks. Sylvester with a sizable advantage coming out. Snyder trying to make up the distance. Not gonna do it, about a truck length behind, but he fought valiantly to the end. Joe Sylvester in Bad Habit will pick up the race victory, and he could have just put himself into the points lead. I'm not positive just yet. We'll have to see how that shakes down, but that was an impressive run for Joe Sylvester. He looked great there. He didn't have too much trouble drifting through there. The clay sand mixture may have helped him in this case. Snyder looked great as well, but just did not have the momentum coming for home, and he gave up an awful lot in that first corner. You can see it right there. And a beautiful final turn for both trucks. Sylvester just had that much of an advantage. One more look at it. The drone following Joe around the track. These drone shots, by the way, brought to you by CJFPV from right here in the Sunshine State. You got to check that guy out on Instagram. Sylvester with a beautiful run to the finish line, picking up a very important victory. As I've said before, he is the biggest spoiler on this tour for the first 3 weeks out, and he, by 1 point, goes into the points lead, 73-72. Advantage Joe Sylvester over Crazy Train and Triton Robbins as Joe heads down to talk to Chuck Plumley.
This is yours, my friend. Right. You love when these all-star fans, they get wild, they get crazy. They've got some awesome Bad Habit gear. and they're going crazy with those checkered flags. That's when you guys go full throttle.
That's right. It's great to see you guys come out here and support me and my friends in our crazy trucks. We're out here to put on a show for you guys. That's our one and only goal when we come out here on this track. Doesn't matter who wins, who loses. It matters you guys go home happy and talk about us.
They are definitely going home happy, and I know that you love to give these trophies away.
Yeah, man, but if you're going to get this, you better make some action.
Joe is always whipping the fans into a frenzy. He says that win, lose, or draw, it doesn't matter. He always says that. Guarantee he's happy to get those couple of points that pushed him over the edge. It's 20 points you gained by winning the racing competition, and those were well earned there as Elliott Miller heads out to start off freestyle and Sinistar. Points on the line here. Looking to make up a little deficit. Didn't have the freestyle he hoped for yesterday. They worked on this truck all last night and into this morning to get these shocks set up the way they wanted them, and he's still running with those bent front tabs on the sway bar adjusters, so we'll see if that hurts him. However, I don't think he's going to take it easy on this thing here this afternoon. We'll wait and see. Quick little popper right there. Didn't get it up as high as he wanted to. Feeling things out, though. Let's see what he's got. That's what he was looking for. I told you that thing does some awesome slab wheelies. That's how it was designed based on the original PEI chassis design. The V-cradle with the rear engine setup. And it'll stand up on a dime. Look at that. Front end way in the air for Elliott Miller. As they say, this truck could wheelie off a Coke can. A little smoke out of the back end. The engine might be getting hot as he is flat-footing that thing around the track. And he will wrap up an impressive run. Miller, I believe, made up for what he felt he lost yesterday. That was a very, very solid freestyle for the Ford-bodied machine out of Ionia, Michigan. Elliott Miller turning them on here in Brooksville, Florida. He got the slap wheel he was looking for earlier. And again, just the noise level of this truck with the zoomies and that massive cubic inch engine in the back of it. Turning the crowd on here in Brooksville, Florida. Again, just a beautiful afternoon. It's not too hot, just cool enough. These engines are able to make plenty of horsepower with the temperature not getting up there too high. Miller laying down the gauntlet for everyone behind him. We've got some guys that'll probably pick up the level of the wow factors. You see the scoring criteria here. Use of course 7, momentum of 5, a wow factor of 6 for a score of 18. An impressive start for the Ford out of cold country. Here comes the Empire Flyer now, the winner of the best trick competition, Montana Robbins, out of Lawton's, New York, and Plain Crazy. Wanted to add a few more points to that total. He would love to push Corey Snyder down into 4th place before the end of the day. It's going to be a tall order, but he might be able to do it. Remember, Snyder won freestyle yesterday. He's got something for these guys. It's still twisting, even with the locker in the front. I'm not sure if he's got something broken in there or if it's just the way he's driving it, but he's getting wild right off the bat. And again, the truck is taking an odd body language there. early for the Chevrolet out of New York. He's keeping the momentum up. That's definitely going to help him. He's kicked some dirt up into the camera lens on the drone. Nice hang time right there for Montana Robbins. It still seems like that left front is kind of running away on him, but that locker is definitely helping as he works his way around this track, comboing up, stuffing the front end into the back of that race ramp. Remember, there is no time limit in All-Star Monster Truck Tour Freestyle. And he's not ready to quit anytime soon. There, thought he might go into a donut, but it didn't look like it was going to take a set as Robbins, I do believe, just turned it up with an awesome showing right there. We'll have to see where he finishes in relation to Miller. Remember, Miller is going after Robbins, but Robbins is going after Snyder, who we will see when we come back in just a moment. There's another look at that awesome run laid down by Montana Robbins. Again, the twisting when he got into the reverse. On the run, and again, right here, too, it twisted up on him there. I'm not sure, again, if something is going away in the truck or not, but he put on a show nonetheless as we wait to see what his official score was. Did he do enough? A 9, a 6, and an 8 for a score of 23. Montana Robbins had his game face on today. He will take the lead in freestyle. So the plane sits on top, but yesterday's winner, Toxic, on the way out next when we come back to Brooksville.
Hey, welcome to Wild Man Adventures. We're at the Silver Lake Sand Dragway. There really wasn't any off-roading back then. It was all off-road. We're on our way to Lima, Ohio. Got wooden wheels.
Oh, it's slippery as all get out of.
Hey, we're here with Rich Cummins. Hey, we're here with Mike Potter.
Hey, we're here with Alan Pizzo.
Gotta check it out. This week we're gonna go down memory lane.
Brooksville, Florida, Corey Snyder heads out onto the track to start his freestyle. Yesterday's winner in freestyle and Toxic 2.0. Bowers definitely working for him today. Look at him stand that thing up. Kevin Rico did a fantastic job piecing the body back together after yesterday. You cannot tell he blew that right rear bedside. Oh, look at that! Straight up and down, started to go left, slammed on the brakes so hard it picks the rear end up. The truck is just working great today, soaking up everything he's throwing at it. The engine sounds nice and crisp. Keeping that momentum up. Look at another beautiful wheel stand. Probably the best momentum we have seen so far, and talk about a guy with spatial awareness, very smart driver, doesn't overdrive the truck, but he's certainly not unspectacular. And you see right there, trying to go after those slap wheelies, he really does like getting that thing straight up and down. Takes an awful lot to stand one of these newer trucks up. You need a ton of horsepower. These are heavyweight machines. And he is going to roll to a stop right there. We'll see if it was enough to take over the lead. There's a few things he may have left on the table, but the momentum was there. He's got to be number one as far as momentum goes right now. Snyder laying down his shot, much to the delight of the crowd here. And I mentioned during that run just how heavy these newer style trucks are, especially this one. A lot of framework in there that you don't have on maybe some of the older style trucks like Miller's, which weighs in, right around 12,000 pounds. Very similar to the older Toxic, the PEI Toxic. This truck pushing up into the 13.5 range, I believe. This is a heavy-duty monster truck, but the horsepower in this thing capable of making it stand up on those rear tires. A lot of hang time, and again, the momentum is what I think will seal his score here. We'll see, though, what he's got. A 9, an 8, and an 8. He will go into the lead with a 25. Corey Snyder looking toward maybe another victory, but he's got to hold off two of the hardest chargers on the circuit today. Joe Sylvester out of Boardman, Ohio in the Jeep Gladiator Bad Habit. The cackle of the Steve Vance horsepower echoing through the afternoon air as he gets ready to lay it down for the crowd here in Brooksville. I think that tire change is definitely helping him today. He's not having the problems with the front end getting shoved around here near as bad as he did yesterday. He's getting some pull out of it, keeping him going the direction he wants to. Just roosting the Ford Motorsports trailer. Look at this. Hard on the throttle on the landing. He is testing the durability of those big Freightliner rear end. Little trouble right there. That was not what he intended to do. He's going to have to make that one up. And he does so with some massive air. One of the real outlaws of monster truck competition today, Joe Sylvester, whipping this crowd into a frenzy. Take another look at some of the big hits on this run. Plenty of hang time. The best we've seen so far this weekend. And again, I mentioned him getting on the throttle, coming down on the ground. A lot of these trucks will not take that. He runs these big, beefy rear ends. If he does blow one out, he's pretty much out of the competition. You need a forklift to get those things out, but helping him immensely get away with what he was doing out here, getting on throttle and standing that thing up, and then massive at the end, a 10 and 8 and an 8 for a score of 26. He goes into the lead by 1 point over Corey Snyder. So a very important 4 points left at the top for this man right here, Triton Robinson, Crazy Train. And he wastes no time getting after it. So now they're going to really stand on it and get in some great wheel stands. And their secret weapon on this team has got to be those Rockwell corners. You see the drone actually hit the ground there on its way around. Robbins looking good, going after Sylvester. He's got a problem though. Something has gone away on the rear end of this truck. Trying to see what it is he has rolled to a stop. Gonna drive off the track. Something was definitely wrong when he came up over that last jump. There you see it right there. It's leaning. He has broken the right rear spindle, it looks like. I was just praising those Rockwell corners right there, but that was the spindle that let go, not the inner workings of that axle. I'm sure it did some damage to the axle, but it did indeed see it lock up right there. That is a tough break and one he could ill afford. You cannot win the series from this first weekend out of the gate, but you could definitely lose the series here if you can't get the act together. Take nothing away from him. He was going after Sylvester. I'm wondering if that first hit out had anything to do with what happened to that truck. He landed hard on the left rear, and that's not the corner that broke, but you have to wonder if there was some fatigue in the rear end of this truck as he worked his way around. It didn't come apart there, it looks like. It's still hanging in as he was getting drive off the rear end. And yeah, it's still moving right there up in the air. Would have been a telltale with the rear end sitting up, but it was definitely broken when he drove off the track. And I know for a fact he did not jump over Sylvester, and he needed to try to get back in that points lead. A score of 15, 3 5s. As I said, not at all what he was looking for. He's going to have to try to come back to make up the points deficit after that as the drivers wave the fans off here in Brooksville, Florida. Here is a look at the points coming out of this first weekend on the tour. Bad Habit with an 8-point lead over Toxic 2.0, and Triton Robbins has lost a ton of ground. He's going to have to make up next week in Naples with an 87, 1 point up on his brother, and it can change that quickly. Sinistar rounding out the top 5 on the series right now. It's been an awesome weekend. It's been trials and tribulations for everybody so far, and we have a ton of this series left to go. We will see you next week from Naples. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you then.